The movie opens with Thaddeus Ross, who has recently won the elections and is getting ready to deliver his victory speech. But before that, he consumes some pills for some unknown reason. He proceeds, giving a speech which includes optimism and the sense of inclusiveness. He urges everyone to believe in him so that he can counter all the possible future threats to planet Earth and safeguard all humans. The media is still skeptic about him as they still blame him for the Harlem incident where a fight broke out between Abomination and the Incredible Hulk. The scene cuts to 5 months later in Oaxaca, Mexico, where a group of mercenaries known as the Serpents have abducted a group of nuns and a father in a church. They are also in possession of a canister containing liquid adamantium, which was mined from the celestial island located in the Indian Ocean. The president assigns Sam Wilson, also known as Captain America, and Joaquin Torres, also known as the Falcon, to recover the adamantium as it belongs to Japan and the mercenaries have stolen it. Here it is revealed that the US and Japan will be signing a major treaty related to the extraction and utilization of adamantium from the celestial island. That is why President Ross and Japan's Prime Minister Ozaki will be signing the Ozaki-Ross Treaty. With his new vibranium suit and Captain America's shield, Sam easily defeats many mercenaries and uses his new tech named Redwing to scan the church, and this is where he finds out that Sidewinder, the head of the mercenaries, is also present there. Joaquin insists on recovering the adamantium first, but Sam insists on saving the hostages. Being Captain America now, Sam displays his amazing skills and takes down more mercenaries with ease and saves the hostages. But Sidewinder turns out to be a tough nut to crack. Just as Sam was going to arrest him, he calls for his most powerful henchman, and he gives Sam a good fight. But the moment he scratched his suit with a knife, Sam got serious and beat him to a pulp. But Sidewinder managed to escape. This is when Sam orders Joaquin to recover the stolen adamantium canister. Joaquin puts on his suit and recovers the asset with ease. The scene cuts to Ross visiting his wife's grave, and this is where we learn that his daughter Betty is not in talking terms with him. He expresses his sadness to his secretary Layla. On the other hand, Sam is confused as Sidewinder had chosen the venue to sell the adamantium, but the buyer ghosted him. This makes him doubt the buyer's motives, as if he intentionally wanted Sidewinder to get caught. Nevertheless, Sam praises Joaquin for his bravery and for recovering the adamantium. Next, Sam introduces Joaquin to Isaiah, who is a former Captain America, and he had also taken the super soldier serum. This is where we learn that Isaiah was experimented on by the US government for decades, and he has not been able to move on from that trauma. Isaiah displays his exceptional strength in front of Sam and Joaquin. But when Sam gets an invite from Ross to attend a party at the White House, he agrees to attend, but only on the condition that Isaiah also gets invited. When Isaiah learns about this, he fumes at Sam, but after some explanations and requests from Sam's end, he agrees to join Joaquin and Sam to the party. Upon reaching the venue, Sam meets an old acquaintance, Layla, who informs him about any of Ross's mischievous activities. Sam meets up with Ross, and he congratulates Sam on the success of his recent mission about the recovery of adamantium. Ross expresses his gratitude towards him. This is where Ross asks Sam to form a new team of Avengers so that they can counter any future threats to the planet Earth. Post their discussion, Ross gives a speech to all their friendly nations inside a room where all the world leaders are present. But in a shocking twist of events, we see Isaiah picking a fight with a security guard, and after snatching his weapon, fires at the president but misses by an inch. Panic ensues with all the world leaders in a rush to leave the venue. Here we see that Isaiah is not alone, but is also joined by several other security guards who have gone rogue. The personal guards of the president and the other world leaders escort them away, and most of the rogue security guards were caught. But Isaiah, being a super soldier himself, escapes the scene. He runs outside the building, and Sam gives chase. But when he sees that he is surrounded, he gives up, and Sam asks him the reason for the betrayal. But Isaiah is shocked to realize that he has fired shots at the president. This makes us understand that he was mind-controlled by someone, and it was a trap. Nevertheless, Isaiah is caught and transported to prison. Sam tries to get more information from Ross about the attack, but he bluntly berates him and introduces Ruth Bat-Seraph, who is the security advisor and will be conducting an investigation of the incident. Sam meets Isaiah in prison and inquires about anything strange or any clues which might lead to the real culprit. But it seems that Isaiah has accepted his fate and tells Sam that he did not see anything abnormal. Joaquin investigates the case, and upon closely inspecting the CCTV cameras of the White House, it is found that the phones of all the shooters, including Isaiah, had flashed before the incident, hence proving that the real mastermind behind this incident had used this technique to control all the shooters. On the other hand, Ruth also finds the same clue and her doubts grow. Joaquin also investigates about Ruth, and we get to learn that she is a Red Room assassin, which means that she is an ex-widow. The scene cuts to Ross making a phone call to General Cooper, who is tasked with guarding an extremely dangerous prisoner. The face of the prisoner is not shown, but here we get some hints that this unknown person has something to do with all the mess. Sam connects the dots and links the White House incident with the stolen adamantium and informs the same to Joaquin. But all of a sudden, he gets attacked by Sidewinder and a fierce battle follows. He manages to injure Sam, but being a veteran soldier himself, Sam does not give up. Although Sidewinder manages to injure Sam, he uses the element of surprise to turn the battle into his favor. At this moment, Sidewinder's phone rings and an unknown person congratulates Sam, but disconnects before Sam can inquire more. Next, we see Joaquin tracking the last call received by Sam, and he tracks it to Camp Echo 1, which is a U.S. military base. Here our heroes decide to initiate a covert operation to uncover the truth. On the other hand, a soldier named Payumo, guarding the shooters at prison, suddenly shot all those prisoners and then took his own life. All of this happens in front of Ruth's eyes. She is utterly shocked, but it is too late to do anything. But fortunately, Isaiah is unharmed. Sam and Joaquin get the news, but Sam knows that this is a trick to slow them down and make them turn around and visit the prison. Hence, being a smart soldier, he continues his journey to Camp Echo 1. After reaching the place, they find it heavily guarded by soldiers. Joaquin uses his skills to break into the building, and Sam follows. As they continue their search, they get to know that it is a prison which hides many secrets. Here Sam finds the details of all the shooters who were present at the White House, indicating to us that the mastermind behind the incident stays at the same prison. He also discovers President Ross's health reports along with some prescribed pills, which means he is also deeply connected to this. He takes some pills with him for further investigation. Ross meets with Japan's Prime Minister Ozaki and tries to convince him to continue the Ross-Ozaki Treaty, as per which they would be sharing the adamantium recovered from the Indian Ocean's Celestial Island. But Ozaki blames Ross about the stealing of adamantium and hands him the proof which states that the mercenaries were paid using CIA black funds. Ozaki threatens to end the treaty and to mine the adamantium for themselves. On the other end, Sam and Joaquin discover that the prison was constructed to imprison a person named Samuel Stearns, who was a professor of science at an university. We also learn that he was the mastermind behind the attack on the White House, and he has invented a way to control people's mind through flashes of lights and trigger them using particular songs. Out of the blue, Samuel Stearns comes face to face with Sam and Joaquin. He confesses that he was the client to whom Sidewinder was going to sell the adamantium. He also confessed about the attack on the White House. When asked why he wanted to harm Ross, he disclosed that Ross had imprisoned him for 16 years and experimented on him. Sam asks him to stop, as his actions have resulted in the imprisonment of his dear friend, Isaiah, but Stearns refuses to back down. Sam understands that reasoning with this man will not help and hence decides to put him down. But this is when he summons all the soldiers guarding the prison, and we understand that they are being mind-controlled. A fierce fight follows. Sam and Joaquin try not to harm the soldiers as they are innocent, and this makes their job even harder. This is when Ruth joins the fight and joins forces with Sam and Joaquin. They defeat the mind-controlled soldiers and decide to chase Stearns. But as per the command of the president, a team of FBI officers arrive and they arrest Sam and Joaquin. But in a shocking twist of events, we see that their radios have started to play strange music. This means that Stearns is now controlling their minds. Without wasting a second, the trio run to their vehicle and escape the raining bullets by the skin of teeth. On the other end, we see that seeing no other way, Ross has planned to steal Japan's share of adamantium and orders his strike group to accompany him to the Indian Ocean. Even when opposed by his advisors, he remains obstinate in his decision. Sam meets with his friend, Commander Dennis Dunphy, and gives him the pills from Stearns' prison and requests him to send the pills to a medical lab and find out their effects on the human body. Next, he goes to meet Sidewinder, who is imprisoned by Dennis. This is where, in exchange for a reduced sentence, Sidewinder discloses that Stearns was once a normal human being but was caught as collateral in the fight of Harlem between Hulk and the Abomination. He was infected with Hulk's blood and hence was suffering from gamma radiation. He did not get the strength of Hulk, but instead received a super-intelligent brain which could do impossible calculations. He had approached Ross for treatment, but Ross, instead of reducing the level of gamma radiation, upped the dosage, as he knew that using the intelligence of Stern's mind, he could be the president of the United States. Ross promised him freedom once he becomes president, but after becoming the president, he betrayed Stearns. This is why Stearns hired Sidewinder and the Serpents to steal the adamantium and paid them through the CIA black funds so that the treaty between Japan and the US breaks, and Ross gets the blame. After learning the truth, Sam departs and Dennis informs him that Ross has boarded USS Milius and is heading for the Indian Ocean, where Japan's warships are also located. Sam understands that this is what Stearns has planned and heads for USS Milius along with Joaquin and Ruth to try to talk some sense into Ross. The scene cuts to two F-18 pilots, Jackal and Whiskey, who hear the same strange song playing on their radio, and they also get hypnotized by Stearns. Sam discloses Stearns' entire plot to Ross. Then he questions Ross about the medical reports which were found in Camp Echo 1. After some heated arguments, Ross confesses that he was dying of an unknown illness and no doctor in the whole world could detect and cure his illness. This is why he approached Stearns for treatment in exchange for curing his gamma radiations. But after getting the much-needed pills, Ross betrayed Stearns, as he wanted him to be his lifelong supplier of medicines. Ross expresses his wish to live long enough to make his daughter understand that he is a changed man. He expresses his regret about sending the army after Bruce Banner, also known as the Hulk, as this is the reason why Ross's daughter Betty has cut all forms of communication with him. During their discussion, they get the news that Jackal and Whiskey have gone rogue and have fired missiles at Japan's warships. Sam and Joaquin take the skies and try to stop the two fighter pilots. To make the situation worse, Japan also sends their own fighter pilots to counter the threat. Ross calls Japan's Prime Minister Ozaki and requests to call off his fighter pilots, but when questioned about how the pilots went rogue, Ross becomes silent. As expected, Prime Minister Ozaki disconnects the call and the battle in the sky continues. Ross gets an anxiety attack and at the same time gets a call from Stearns. It seems that he is losing control of his own body and Stearns urges him to let out his anger. This is when we understand that Stearns has outplayed Ross and has added gamma radiation in his medicine in such a way that it mutates his genes and easily dissolves in his blood. On the other hand, Sam defeats Whiskey. But Japanese fighter pilots do not give up. Sam loses them and Jackal launches more missiles, which Sam neutralizes with ease using his new vibranium armor. But after a few moments, Jackal launches his last two missiles, which hit Joaquin and he falls into the Indian Ocean. Sam goes after Jackal and manages to destroy the fighter jet and rescue Jackal at the same time. Seeing this, Japanese fighter pilots also stop their chase, and Sam wins the battle. Hearing this news, Stearns loses his composure and gives out a painful shriek. Joaquin is rescued and is admitted to the hospital for treatment. Sam watches an injured Joaquin being operated on by doctors, and this is when the Winter Soldier, Bucky Barnes, consoles Sam and gives him courage to go on. Sam insists on taking the super soldier serum, but Bucky makes him understand that it is not about strength, but about making the right decisions at the right moment. Ross calls Betty, and after a long time, the father and daughter duo have a heartfelt conversation. Stearns, on the other hand, surrenders himself to Sam and admits to adding gamma radiation in the pills given to Ross. Stearns gets arrested voluntarily, and Sam, understanding the gravity of the situation, rushes to the White House without wasting a single moment. Ross, on the other hand, was giving a press briefing about the recent altercation with Japanese fighter jets. But upon being questioned about his links with the Serpent Group, he loses his composure. To make the situation worse, all the secret conversations between Ross and Stearns gets played over loudspeakers, and we understand that Stearns had planned this before surrendering himself. This is when Ross gives in to his anger and starts transforming into the Red Hulk. Everyone around is shocked, as no one expected Ross to transform into a monster. Sam arrives in the nick of time and orders everyone to evacuate the venue. He starts a fight with the Red Hulk, but, as it turns out, the Red Hulk is too strong. The US government sends helicopters to tackle the threat, but Ross manhandles the helicopters as if they were toys. Sam takes the battle away from the city to save as many people as possible. As expected, the Red Hulk follows him. Sam tries to dodge as many attacks as possible, and when he can no longer do so, he resorts to reasoning with Ross. But as it seems, the Red Hulk has taken complete control over Ross. The fight resumes, and the Red Hulk gets the upper hand. Red Wing tries to help and causes an explosion, which stuns the Red Hulk for a split second, and using this opportunity, Sam tries to fly to a higher altitude. But the Red Hulk recovers, and the monster grabs Sam's wings and breaks one of them. Sam defends the incoming punches using the remaining wing and his vibranium shield. Just when the monster was about to deal the final blow, Sam plunged the remaining vibranium wing into the guts of the monster. This caused all the kinetic energy inside the wing to release, causing a huge explosion, which sends both of them flying away. Ruth and her team arrive at the scene and remove the debris to give Sam a breathing space, but the danger is far from over. The Red Hulk recovers and tries to finish the battle, but Sam uses his smartness to emotionally connect with Ross. He makes Ross recall how he used to visit the cherry blossoms along with his daughter Betty. Just at that very moment, a cherry blossom lands on his hand. Upon seeing this, the monster finally calms down, and Ross regains his human form, and everyone breathes a sigh of relief. Sam meets with Isaiah while he is being released from prison, and Ruth congratulates both of them. Next, we see Ross taking complete responsibility for all the damage that he has done and surrenders himself to be imprisoned. Betty visits him in prison, and Ross gets to meet with his daughter after a very long time, and this puts a smile on his face. In the ending moments of the movie, we see Stearns locked up in a prison where Sam confronts him about all his deeds. He admits to have calculated all the possibilities inside his mind and reveals that Earth will be facing a series of dangerous threats, and this is why he had surrendered himself, so that he can watch the drama unfold from the safety of prison. This is how the movie ends. If you like this recap, please like the video and subscribe to the channel and turn on the notifications so that you get notified of all the upcoming recaps.